Hey guys, I wanted to show y'all how the dye job turned out. And I already showed you guys how the dye job turned out, but I just kind of, in case you missed that video. Um, so right here, I have my alpaca, I have my merino, and I have my firestar. Notice how they get more intense from my right to my left. Um, I made a really good heather from these because the color patterning I am doing are really long gradients between turquoise and brown. And so I wanted to, and this is going to be a sock yarn that I want to make very beautiful and durable socks. So Firestar is nylon, which is great for socks. Wool is wonderful just as like to keep everything together for one. For two, structurally it's great. And the alpaca, you only need 30% of alpaca to get the super warming properties of it without necessarily, you know, having to do the whole thing in alpaca, because I heard 100% alpaca isn't good for socks because there's a lot of friction going on. So bearing that in mind, I'm using merino wool as kind of like my filler, my base, so this is what I got going on. And the Rolags came out amazing because I like Rolags. You can do an art bat, you can whatever, but I like Rolags, and I like preferably something well blended. So these are my Rolags, and you will notice that you can see a little bit of all the fibers in these Rolags, which is really what I wanted. And I'll tell you real fast how I got that, how I achieved that. So what I did was, I know that my board can only pack on so much. So I took my 50-gram increment of blue, because I did 50 grams of blue and then 50 grams of brown. So this is just going to show you the blue, because the brown works the same exact way, just it's brown. So, but I'll show you what both look like at the end, just so that it's a project in depth. So yeah, so what I did on the base of my board was I filled out the merino. And what I did was I took my 50 grams and I halved it, 25, 25. Then I halved it again into half of 25 and half of 25, 13 and a half, something like that. Or 12 and a half. Not always good at carrying the one. So I fill my board with the merino first, very evenly, very, very evenly. That's the key here. And then I go through with the Firestar and very evenly spread this throughout the board. And then lastly, and again, rather repetitive, fill the board very evenly with my alpaca. So I'm going to just kind of like show you in a sped up version. Hopefully that works out really well. I haven't done a sped up video before, but it should be relatively simple to do. So without further ado, we are going to switch camera angles and show you the board. Okay, so you guys have a bird's eye view of my board, and like I said, and I'm going to split my merino so that it's a little bit more manageable. And we're just going to fill it, and I like to fill it from top to bottom in short sections, like this. Now, since I know that I still have some merino left, I'm going to go through this board and see where I didn't put enough wool in certain places, specifically right at the bottom here. And now this is just going to be like a fill in the blank sort of run through. So here, right here, I can see that this is a bit lacking. This up here is a bit lacking, and down the strip here. So I'm going to start with the first little patch Okay, now that our merino is done, we're going to go and we're going to do the firestar now. Basically, I'm just going to draft my firestar out a bit and then, all right, pull it apart in half that way. And I'm going to take this one and I'm going to pull it in half this way because the firestar is very slippery. So I like to work in short increments of it for that reason. And you're just going to coat the board in a bit of sparkly firestar. And whenever I'm trying to do a heather like this, I will be conservative with my fiber at first and fill in later because I would rather put a thin layer across all of it than any kind of uneven layer, especially since these socks are somewhat important to me. Like making socks out of this is very important to me, I should say, because they're not socks yet. And right here, I can see that I piled on a little bit too much firestar up here to the point where I don't have enough firestar over here. So before I brush this down, I'm just going to steal a bit to even it out. And so I'm just kind of taking my fingers in between these two and I'm seeing where there's a really big pocket of firestar that shouldn't be a big pocket and just moving those fibers over. So now that I have done that and I'm happy with it, I'm going to brush it through and huzzah, the firestar layer is done. Next is the alpaca. Alright, so now I'm going to look over my board and see where there are patches that need to be filled in, and my patches at this point aren't very deep because I have multiple layers of where I have done different fibers and filled them in as I went. So the pattern, the patches are not going to be very deep or very big, but okay. So we have reached the end here. And now it is time to make the Rolags. Now, I will say that I want my color repeats to be fairly consistent in length, which is, again, not that big of a deal considering the fact that you could spin this one slightly thicker and like this one slightly thinner. This one might be a teens bit heavier than this one is, or all kinds, but I do want to keep my Rolags relatively close. So I know that I want 4 Rolags off of this board, and this is a relatively long board as well. Your board might be different. You just have to think about how you want it and what numbers you like. I just like 4 for this purpose. I actually want to not pull off so much alpaca off of that first one. And I'm rolling it against my shirt because I don't have enough room to roll it against my tongs. So I'm just keeping the little stray firestar and alpaca out of my way, mostly. What I'll do at the end of my Rolags is I'll just make sure that it catches in the teeth and that they are so that I don't get that rough line of kind of semi-felted fibers on the back of my last Rolag. That really, I don't know, like I don't like that back felt coming off of the back of this board. And I will say that I've let the little bit of fibers that are kind of snagged around the back of the of the blending board. See, I'm pulling these fibers off. I don't just take my Rolag off the end here most of the time. I will be more conscious. It's a little tip that I picked up myself just from having done this a lot. And this is just kind of toss away fiber. You'll get little pinches and dabs of toss away fibers, and it's all good because it's just a little bitty piece. And I'm going to do this as many times until I run out of wool. And basically by halving your fiber into fours, you will ensure some level of consistency. So these are all the Rolags that I just pulled off. Hey guys, so as promised, I'm going to show y'all how the browns turned out. First though, I just want you guys to see what colors I was working with. You already saw how the dye job turned out, but this is my merino. This is my undyed natural brown alpaca. And this is my dyed firestar. And these colors look a little bit washed out on my camera. I apologize. Do check out my Instagram because I will be posting this, everyone. So this is how the browns turned out, and like honestly I was a little bit worried, like because my merino and my firestar were you know, much more goldeny honey brown, and my alpaca was more of a rustic barn brown, that I really wasn't sure how they would turn out. And I have got to say that I am, there we go, this is better. I am so pleased. I am so fucking happy with this. Oh my god, like, I'm in fucking love with this. This is my first set that I did, so I still have to do this 3 more times. But, oh my god, I love it. And I did it the exact same way that I did the turquoise ones. I did the merino first, I did the firestar, and then I did the alpaca. Look at these colors together. Oh my god. Hey, look at these together. Can you imagine yarn that's one of these, 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 and then like an Navajo plaid. Oh, I am just, oh. Okay. Put this down. I'm too excited. I probably should have breathed for a second before I turn this camera on, but I get so excited. I get so excited when a plan comes together. So, yeah. Okay. Now all I need is for my spinning wheel to get here. I hope you really enjoyed this project in depth on the Rolags. It will take me a little while to spin these, so that project in depth will be a little later, but I will be revisiting this and letting you guys know how the spin is, letting you guys know how the plying is, the finished result. Maybe even after I knit the final project, I'll come back to you guys. Like, this project in depth is going to be every step of the way. However, it is going to take a very long time for me to get to the next one. So in the meantime, enjoy all of my other goodies. Would love for me to do a video on art yarn Rolags. Please put them down in the description below. I'll do another project in depth on that. So in the meantime, happy crafting and bye-bye.